Welcome to episode 181.
You're listening to Escaping the REI Newbie Zone podcast, where you'll learn the underground, closely guarded secrets that will revolutionize your real estate business. This podcast is all about helping you exit the real estate newbie zone and enter financial freedom, building up your real estate throne. This is Escaping the REI Newbie Zone podcast. And now your host, real estate investor, entrepreneur, world traveler, and nationwide mentor, Chris Bruce.
How you doing, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Escaping the REI Newbie Zone. I'm your host, Chris Bruce. I want to say thank you for tuning in this week on Friday, which is the day that we actually record this. I'm not sure when you're checking this out. But as you know, we do these podcasts Tuesdays and every Friday. Tuesdays are more of our motivational mindset podcast episode, and Fridays is when we do our more content-based real estate education and interviews. And today we have a very, very special guest that is going to be joining us on the call. Now, this guy has a passion for helping overwhelmed real estate entrepreneurs work smarter and earn more by setting up effective systems. All you guys know that in order to be successful with a real estate investing business, when you're scaling up, you have to have an effective system, okay? And he's actually launched a brand which you might be familiar with called Investorfuse, which is a lead management workspace for real estate investing. He's helped bring the power of Podio to hundreds of happy investors and has built a strong community around technology, all right? So, you know, when not working or investing, you can find them pretty much traveling, drumming, or either helping other entrepreneurs grow their business, okay? And he's been able to really help a lot of investors systemize their business, okay? So for those of you that have been looking to figure out what CRM you should be using or how you can really put a system around your business, you're gonna love this interview that I have coming up for you right now. So let me go ahead and introduce my guest, Dan Schwartz. All right, welcome to the show, my man, Dan Schwartz. How you doing, man?
Great, I am doing excellent. Thanks for having me on, Chris.
Man, I'm glad to finally connect with you and get you on the podcast as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy, I've been using his software for a while. I've been stalking him on Facebook a little bit. So I'm glad to, like I said, get him on the show. So Dan, for anybody that is not familiar with you and your brand that you've created with the softwares, can you just kind of give us a little rundown about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. Again, I appreciate the focus on just helping newer investors just take that next step. That's sort of one of my skill sets as well. I've been wholesaling since 2010, and I've done a couple hundred deals, and I use that experience to create automation for real estate wholesaling and acquisitions in general. So anybody that's got a lot of leads coming in, if you're not following up with those leads and organizing them and rallying your whole team around closing those leads, then you're never going to be able to really escape and scale your company. So I got obsessed with this idea of using technology plus team to take most of the work off your plate, or at least the work that you don't like to do. And it's funny, when you do that, you just end up making more money and having more time to focus on even more, money-making things. And I've just been obsessed with this process of 80-20, which we can talk about. 20% of your efforts produce 80% of your results. And that's had a magical, profound effect on not only my life, but all of our customers' lives as well, just keeping them super focused in their business. And that experience led to me using Podio. A lot of you might know me from Podio. I have a lot of Podio videos on YouTube. We created a system on Podio that basically is a done-for-you Podio setup that automates your follow-up and helps you manage all your leads across your team. And that's scaled to over 600 companies. And now we're actually launching our own software off of Podio because Podio has some limitations. and you can't do a lot of stuff on Podio that we realized people needed. So that's sort of where we're at right now. A super high level overview. So my name is Dan Schwartz. You can learn about the company at investorfuse.com. And I guess you also use another product of ours, Sendfuse, right?
Yes, definitely. And we're going to talk about Sinfuse too, because I forgot who I came across with that, man. But someone told me about it. I can't remember. I got a recommendation, and I happen to have some bird dogs out there and stuff like that. So it just made that whole process easier for us, to be able to go out. So I definitely want to talk about that in just a minute. But okay, so you got started, and you said 2010.
Yep, just out of college.
Okay, wow. Okay, and which market are you in?
I did the majority of my deals in Baltimore, Maryland, which is where you could say I grew up there. I don't live there now, but that is where I cut my teeth in this business.
Got you. Okay. And so let's say for someone that is starting off new, right? Let's say they started off new. They did maybe a handful of deals. Who would what do you think is like the first hire that they should do, to bring onto their team?
It's funny. Someone else just emailed me that exact question. Who's the first hire? So the first hire is usually typically going to be an office manager or a lead manager type of role. Unless you really love to answer the calls, to build that initial rapport with the seller, to pre-qualify all the leads, basically all the first contact that you'll have with homeowners, that typically is the first thing that scaling investors are going to outsource. And what that does is it allows you to focus only on talking with motivated leads, going on appointments, making offers, doing due diligence on leads that actually want to sell their house, versus the opposite, which is you're talking to every single opportunity that comes across your desk, 90% of which aren't going to be, good deals or they're junk deals that just go in your cold lead follow-up anyways. So I would recommend having an office manager or a lead manager handling all of your inbound opportunities and just being a rock star at qualifying leads for you. But it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. That majority of people are going to want to do that because they want to focus on doing deals, not talking with people calling all day. Really, just what I recommend people do is they write out a list of every task that they currently do in their business, whether it's if you have a partner, or if it's just you, write out a list of everything that you're doing or have to do, and then sort that list out by departments. And then once you've done that, you've taken what's in your brain, put it out on a piece of paper, and you've created job roles basically as a framework for how to outsource those things.
Got you.
It's a really, people are afraid to get what's in their brain out on paper, but it's a super powerful tactic just to write out everything you're doing and create a job task list for someone else. So you have a really clear guidelines for who to hire. And then ideally the tasks that are left are the stuff that you like to do, like picking up checks at the title company.
Definitely. So speak on that too. What we use is there's a website called Sweet Process, and we use them to document everything, our videos and document, so that way we can onboard our new team members whenever we need to.
Another good one is Process Street, process.st, some process workflow management. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of great tools. If you don't want to get too fancy, you can just use Google Docs.
Yeah.
Again, really, it's crazy. Everything you need to get started in this business, you can have for free. Definitely.
I agree 100%.
If you don't have money, you have time and effort, which is how a lot of people start. They're not spending all this money on direct mail and PPC. Instead, they're using their time and their effort to go out and hustle for that first deal, which I'm sure you teach a lot about how to get free leads and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So, all right. The one question that I know a lot of people ask is, so when is a good time to know when you should hire that first person? What do you recommend?
sooner the better.
Yeah.
Honestly, the route that I would take is day one. Make sure to have someone that is better than you and enjoys the process of being an office manager more than you from day one. The reason why I say that is because it'll prevent burnout. Now, the downside to that is you don't know how that process works because you haven't done it yourself. So there is something to be said about doing something yourself a few times just to know how, the process of taking a lead and determining motivation. It's good as an investor to understand how that looks and feels yourself. But the sooner you start building engines for your business, I'll explain what that means, the sooner you'll start making more money. So if you focus on building engines versus working inside of the engine, it's a completely new paradigm shift. And most people that start in this business you're doing it just to get that first check. But I'm telling you, if you want to make checks for the rest of your life instead of just this month, focus on building engines that work without you, and it'll make your real estate investing career a lot. You'll scale to the top much quicker. So the sooner the better is what I would recommend people do.
Gotcha.
And if they can't afford that person, get creative. There's plenty of ways to structure working relationships with people so that they get paid when you get paid. Maybe they'll take a small stipend up front just to get started. Maybe you can offer them access to your coaching resources or your knowledge, and then only pay them when a deal gets closed. So don't rule out hiring someone just because you can't afford it. Instead, think about all the stuff you can provide. Again, you're providing them the system. You're providing them an opportunity to learn a business. You're providing them with the opportunity to make a ton of cash if you start closing these deals. You're providing them with an opportunity to be a part of something. So it's a whole new mindset shift to think about yourself as the builder of an engine that turns out deals versus the guy that has to go in and answer the calls and manage the leads and handle the Podio CRM and all the tasks involved with actually, the end goal that you want, which is just more money in the bank so you can do stuff that you want to do.
Definitely. I agree 100%. Okay. So let's talk about the software Investorfuse. I'm really big on CRMs. I tell everybody, at the bare minimum, you should at least have Podio. I mean, we're in the times of the internet where you need to be able to have access to your leads, by picking up your phone. So
right.
Let's talk about Investorfuse and what someone can really benefit from using the system.
Yeah, sure. So I'll talk about just the benefits of having a CRM to begin with. So basically, if you're not documenting and capturing all your incoming opportunities, your competition is. Simply put, he who has the better lead management system is going to ultimately close more deals and win in that market. So it's one of those necessary evils to have a super organized lead management process. And we realize that most people don't like that part of this business. Lead management is not sexy. It is, though, if you can automate it, right. Delegate the whole process. So that has been the obsession of our company, is from a moment a call comes in or a website lead comes in or your answering service inputs a new lead or your lead manager inputs a new lead, from the second a new lead is captured, how can you convert as many of those into signed deals as possible with the least amount of work? And what that requires is the use of a CRM that is action oriented, meaning that it tells you what to do. It assigns tasks for your team so that there's no guesswork or trying to think too much about I don't know what lead to look at now. I don't know who I should be following up with. The technology now lets you basically build that process into your CRM. So it's not just a database for your leads. It's also a way to do the deal from capture to close. And that is what Investorfuse is. It's a system that assigns tasks to the right person on your team at the right time, depending on where a deal is in its pipeline, whether it's a brand new lead or you're about to go on an appointment with that lead, you're always going to know where each opportunity stands. You're going to have a record of who last talked to that lead. You're going to have a record of the communication you've had with the seller. You'll have a record of all the offers that you made. Anything involved with getting that thing under contract, you have immediately at your fingertips inside of Investorfuse. And the biggest part of Investorfuse is and really any great CRM is going to have epic follow-up, meaning it's like the equivalent of imagine you had like 100 people just following up on your leads all day. Well, we figured out how to do that automatically inside of Investorfuse using automation called follow-up sequences. Forgive me, there's a siren outside the building.
NYC life.
NYC, yeah, like we're right in the heart of Manhattan too, so there's a lot of ambulances all the time. Follow-up sequences. So imagine if you hired a VA that was texting your leads, emailing your leads, checking in, saying, "Hey, have you considered this offer? It's been a while. We just wanted to send you this new resource about working with investors." Emailing, sending them voicemails, reminding you to call that lead. Imagine if a VA was doing that for all of your leads, like hundreds of leads or even thousands of leads at a time. How many more deals you would get just by having that automated?
Yeah.
And we realize that if it's not automated, no one's going to do it.
Yep, correct.
So we went all in on follow-up sequences that you can customize. You can use your own messages, or we also created our own messages that have been proven to re-engage sellers. And there's people on the software that just get appointments made automatically because of these messages that are going out automatically, and sellers responding to those and saying, actually, my situation has changed. Can we meet this weekend for an offer? This happens all the time. As you scale your business and you forget about leads, you want to make sure that you're still keeping in touch with sellers, because it's important to remember 90% of your deals aren't going to be from those hot leads that call today. They're going to come from deals that call you back in months from now.
Yep. Follow-up is key. So with the follow-up sequences, are they just email messages or?
Yeah, no, they're multiple different channels. So there's emails, there's text messaging. In our Podio version, there's voicemail blasts. So you can say, like, day one, send an email that thanks them for talking with you. Day two, sends a text message following up with more information. Day 5, it sends a voicemail just checking in. Day 30, it sends another email. So we've created these sequences. There's like 30 different messages in these sequences that let you keep in touch with these sellers for years at a time, across multiple different message types, because some sellers prefer to hear your voice. Some sellers like to get their emails. Some sellers like to get text messages. And each of these, we created different sequences for different scenarios. So if it's a really hot lead, the messages are going to be pretty different than if it was a really cold lead. So we have different sequences for different, motivation levels and different stages of where they're at. For instance, if you've already made an offer, you're going to want to send them an offer follow-up sequence,
right? Which
is crucial. Like, most people do that. They'll make an offer on a property and then wait for the seller to contact them back, versus making a call and getting that deal done. Like, these are the simple things that require systems and machines to be built in order for you to squeeze more, juice out of your leads. And if you are investing in your direct mail and you're spending thousands of bucks to get your bird dogs out, to get your bandit signs out, you're spending all this money on these leads, make sure you're closing those things and doing everything you can to extract as many deals from those leads as possible. And if you're not comfortable with your CRM, or if you don't feel like you're handling your leads in a really systemized way, then check out what we built, because it takes all of that headache out of the equation for you. And we even coach our companies on how to correctly handle their leads using the system. And that's really our main focus, is just handling leads. And that's the one thing that if you get right in this business, you can scale up your marketing confidently and then eventually more of those are going to turn into deals. It's like the ugly stepchild of real estate investing, real estate lead management.
Yeah.
And that is why I wanted to go all in on it, because I knew this just had to get figured out for this industry.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, I tell people, like I said, the follow-up, it's crazy that I tell people it's like this. When a new iPhone comes out, how many times do you see the advertisement? It's continuously in their face. You know, if they only promoted the iPhone the one time it drops in September, you know, they would only get so many sales, you know? So if you can have a CRM like Investorfuse, guys, where the follow-up is automated and you can pretty much almost set it and forget it. I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer, you know, especially for people that have a lot of stuff going on. You know, we're human, so we're going to make a mistake. But with systems like Investorfuse, it doesn't have the human error that we would end up possibly making. So that's why I love it. I love CRMs that are capable of this. All right, so
exactly. But I feel like most people they're hearing this and they're frustrated because they don't have enough leads to even manage, right? So there's like two sides of the equation. It's making sure you have enough leads to justify all this automation, because our software it's $200 a month. So it's for serious investors that have a bunch of leads coming in. If you don't have a lot of leads coming in, then just use a basic Podio app to store and document your leads with the intention of scaling into a more automated platform later on. That's what I would recommend.
Definitely. Okay. And I want to talk about the other software that I have been using for the past few months, Sinfuse. Now, the reason why I love this is because, again, I've had bird dogs out there, and we've had some bird dog other softwares and systems. But to me, it's the best system out there to instantly look up a lead, number one, and number two, be able to get out a marketing postcard to that particular owner, you know, to see if they want to sell. So we love it for our bird dogs to go out there and use it. So can we talk about the Sinfuse software and kind of what even made you to create this, you know, kind of I guess almost like a child of the Investorfuse software? Yeah.
So we love the idea of having digital assistants. And what that means is like, not a virtual assistant, which is a human, but a digital assistant, which is a computer that you can just send messages to and they'll deliver value in return. So Sendfuse is a bot. It's like a text bot. You just text it an address and then it'll send you the postcard to the owner. And I just had this vision of, what if we made marketing so easy that you just texted an address in, and then all this magic happened in the background to send postcards out for cheap, $1 per postcard. So this was sort of just an idea because I wanted to get this concept built, because it's just a little hint. There's going to be way more than postcards in Sendfuse eventually.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's probably going to get worked into Investorfuse.
Nice. Well. Nice.
You heard it first. So it's just the ease of use. So all real estate technology we found is super hard and complex, and people get hung up on that, and it prevents them from doing deals. So that's why we made Sendfuse. Just like we wanted to create the easiest possible way to send marketing out. And there's really nothing easier than like talking an address into your phone and boom, it'll guide you through the process of sending postcards out. And it also works. So you're using it for bird dogs?
Yeah, mainly I'm using it for if we have some people that are driving around and finds vacant houses, we just have them text that number and get the postcard. And the one thing I love about it too is that it goes in the sequence once again. So it's not just a one postcard.
Right.
It's multiple, over a certain day sequence, a week sequence. Yeah.
And you can go in and pause it when they call in. So you're not, keep sending postcards, or you can keep it running. And then, so your bird dogs are all under your account.
Yes.
So you're paying for each postcard, but there's checks and balances in place. So if 3 bird dogs submitted the same property, whoever got to it first is going to be charged. Like the system's not going to let multiple people send to the same property.
Right.
Because that's just a waste of money. So we built in all these checks and balances designed with bird dogs in mind. And also you can send to absentee owners or owner occupied properties. And I don't know if you know this, Chris, you can text in a picture of the house now.
Oh, no, I didn't even know that.
Dude, check that out.
Oh, man.
There's a setting inside of the dashboard. So there's also, you can go online and you can see all the properties that are currently in a sequence or all the properties that you or your team have texted in. You can go in and change the settings to include the image of the property on the postcards.
Wow. That's major.
So the text file will just say like, send us a picture real quick. Boom, we put it on the postcard.
Now, I can only imagine the response rate someone would get with seeing a postcard with their house on the actual postcard. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it definitely increases response rate at least slightly. I don't know if it's super major.
Okay.
But it's enough that we know it's going to make people a bunch of money. So we built it. So I would check that out just because otherwise you have to, when you're driving around looking for vacant properties, you have to find like 100 or even 200 at a time in order for most mail houses to send postcards. They're not going to send one postcard for you.
Right. That's correct.
So with Sendfuse, now you can send one postcard and a sequence of postcards over time to one owner at a time, instead of having to wait to send a bulk list to a mail house. So it's a game changer for all you bird dogs and property locators out there that are just driving around and you see something that looks hot. In that moment, you can initiate a sequence of postcards, and people are using this with a lot of success right now and making a bunch of money because it's so easy, and it's actually not a profit play for us. So we're basically giving the postcards away at what it costs us to deliver it. So it's not like a for-profit thing. It's not nonprofit, but it's a lead generation for our Investorfuse software to help them manage those leads. So
Gotcha.
Take advantage of the cheap pricing.
Definitely. Okay, so for those that are listening that wants to get into Investorfuse and Sinfuse, can you give us those websites?
Yeah. Investorfuse.com is spelled with an F-U-S-E. And then Sendfuse is S-E-N-D-F-U-S-E. It's actually GetSendfuse.com. GetSendfuse.com. It's free to sign up. It only charges you when you start sending postcards out. But it's actually fun to use. You're just like texting with a bot on your phone and magic is happening. So I would check that out. And then Investorfuse, by the time this interview is released, you'll see a lot of information about the new Investorfuse software, which is not on Podio. Our website will have plenty of information about that new software, which is basically the simplest to use lead management system that has ever been launched. That was our goal, and I think we're going to deliver on that. So if you want to learn more about that, investorfuse.com.
Perfect. Okay. And guys, I will make sure that I have the links to both Investorfuse and Sinfuse in the show notes. So if you want, just make sure you come back to escapethenewbiezone.com and look up this episode, and we will have it in the show notes so you can go ahead and click those links. So, Dan, I really appreciate you being on here and giving a lot of value. Last question I would ask you, which I ask every single guest, if someone's brand new trying to escape the newbie zone, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, so this is a good question. And I think this applies to really any area of your life. If you're stuck and you're not sure what to do next, the first thing that you should do, instead of like being down on yourself or, being sad and depressed and sulking about your situation, is having a conversation with someone. That's the first thing that you should do if you feel stuck and you're not sure what to do next. Have a conversation with someone. Not on social media, well, maybe on chat, but don't post something in a forum or don't post something on Facebook expecting like an external thing to solve the problem or give you the answer. Have an actual conversation with someone, whether it's a coach someone who's been there before, maybe, your parents, your best friend. Have a conversation to talk through exactly what you're stuck about and what the solutions are to get to that next point. It's amazing how much clarity you can get just by talking it out instead of thinking it through in your head. Because the voice in your head typically isn't always going to give you the best solution. So I always recommend, if you're not sure what to do next, have a conversation. If you're one of Chris's coaching students, hit up Chris, send me an email. If you're not sure what to do next, you can reach me at dan@investorfuse.com. But having a conversation is the best way to get unstuck, because this is we're all in this together. We're all in this so that we can make money and do stuff that we want to do. And if you can, use that to your advantage, realize that you're not going to scale your company without other people involved, then you'll be able to escape the newbie zone much faster. So yeah, if you're not sure what to do, have a conversation instead of trying to think that you can figure it all out by yourself, and you'll find the answer in that conversation.
Perfect. All right. Great advice from Dan Schwartz. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. Also, please leave us an honest review. That will help us push us up in the rankings. Dan, I appreciate you being on the podcast today. Enjoy your time in beautiful New York. I know it's the summertime, so it's pretty hot there right now still.
Yeah, man. It's nice. All right. But dude, maybe I'll see you in Tampa, actually. Are you going to be down in Tampa?
I will. Yeah, I'm here.
October?
Yep. For the event, I will be here. So I'll definitely see you then.
Nice, man. Thanks again for having me on, and good luck to everybody listening.
All right.
Thanks for listening to Escaping the REI Newbie Zone podcast at www.escapethenewbiezone.com.